Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation. My name is
Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Helen Zille, leader of the Democratic Alliance, in her recent appearance on the Face the Nation, has made it clear that she believes that the BRICS, which consist of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has done little beyond the creation of BRICS Bank. Now, in a rather stark warning, right, she said if BRICS is under the illusion that it can replace the US dollar, it's in for a rude awakening. Let's have a look.
So what option is available, though? So if they do go ahead and push through these policies, because I'm asking this because the ANC has now dared you as the DA to leave the GNU if you want, or stop undermining the party and try weakening it from within. That's what Fikile Mbalula said recently at a press briefing. Is there an option here to pull out of the GNU?
Well, that is the nuclear option, and it certainly is an option, but you can only use it once. So obviously we'd want to try and resolve the problems, because if we go out of the GNU, you'll have either a minority government, which will be totally unstable, or you will have an ANC-EFF-MK coalition, which is what Paul Mashatile wants, which will destroy South Africa's economy within a week. The amount of disinvestment, the amount of international revision of the approach to South Africa, we'd be kicked out of AGOA as well. I mean, we must understand what the stakes are here.
Do you think we'll be kicked out of AGOA if the GNU doesn't survive?
I think we could be kicked out of AGOA anyway. President Trump's not playing. I mean, I've just been to the United States and I spoke at a seminar there.
Now, she's clearly not convinced that the BRICS nations have the ability, or rather the political will, to challenge the US dollar dominance on the world stage. But the real kicker is that Zille also claimed to have had a conversation with one of Donald Trump's top economic advisors, who allegedly said that the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is AGOA, might be at risk if BRICS continues to pursue the de-dollarization, right? Now, as a South African, I can't help but feel a bit of frustration at this narrative, especially from a leader of a political party that claims to be working in the best interests of South Africa. Zille, who has always been quick to defend Western interests, seems to be missing the bigger picture here. The BRICS discussions around creating an alternative currency aren't just a challenge to the US dollar, but they're actually pushing for economic sovereignty, something that has long been denied to countries in the global south. And yet, here we are, with Zille playing right into the hands of the same system that has historically exploited us. Let's have a look.
They've done nothing. They started a BRICS bank, but that's access an alternative anywhere else. What has BRICS done except act as a mobilizing force internationally against the United States and the dollar?
Well, as
what
you say,
what have they actually done?
They've started the BRICS bank. They're trying to create an opportunity for us to have a comfortable and easy movement of goods. We need to be able to sell to them what we have to offer. They need to be able to do the same to us. And if you think of the BRICS currency, which in fact was a resolution that was taken, that we must look at it in the future, that's going to benefit the BRICS countries themselves. I mean, must we submit ourselves to the US domination out of this US dollar when, as BRIC countries, we can find a solution that works for BRICS countries and makes trading quite easier?
Well, we can talk about the theory and then we can talk about the practice. This conversation has been going on for a very long time and nothing has happened. And if you're going to hang yourself up, it might be a very good idea first to decide if you've got an alternative. And I can tell you we're in for a big fright if we can think that we can kick the United States in the teeth and that the BRICS monetary unit will replace it. I mean, we're going to have a very sad time.
Now, let's be clear, right? Helen Zille is no stranger to controversy. Now, as the leader of the DA, she's often been the voice of those who favor closer ties with the West, particularly the United States. But what I find striking in her comments is her failure to recognize the importance of economic independence for countries like South Africa. If BRICS was merely about creating a bank, then yes, perhaps it wouldn't amount to much, right? But it's about much more than that. It's about creating an economic bloc that can, in the long term, reduce the stranglehold of the US dollar on global trade. Now, the argument that BRICS cannot replace the US dollar is not one that should be dismissed, right? But I think we need to look at it from a different lens. For South Africa and many other nations in the global south, the dominance of the US dollar has been a reminder of a colonial legacy that never truly ended. And it's a financial system that I believe continues to serve the interests of the West, while African countries, for example, remain economically tied to a currency they actually have no control over. I mean, in a time when countries like China and Russia are pulling for alternatives, the very idea that South Africa would side with US interests over the potential for economic independence is actually quite concerning. If we truly care about South Africa's future, if we care about African unity and economic self-determination, then we should be supporting the BRICS push and not undermining it. Instead, Zille's approach seems to be grounded in an unwavering alliance to the US. And as a leader of a political party that often brands itself as liberal and progressive, her stance is even more troubling. You would expect someone of her background, especially in post-apartheid South Africa, to understand the need for alternatives to the US dollar. You would think, right, given her position, that she'd defend the right for nations, particularly African nations, to seek financial sovereignty. Instead, Zille seems to be more concerned with maintaining the status quo. She openly acknowledges Trump's position, hinting that the loss of AGOA, which is an agreement that gives African countries preferential access to the US market, could be a risk if BRICS pushes too far. And there it is. Zille's entire argument is predicated on the fear of losing access to the US market. But isn't that the very problem we've been talking about for years? I mean, South Africa and many other African countries have been so dependent on the US and European markets that we've actually forgotten how to stand on our own. Now, why is it that we must always dance to the tune of the US, even when it comes at the cost of our own economic futures? And the truth is that Africa has always been at the mercy of Western economic interests. And while Zille may see the US dollar as a symbol of economic stability, for many of us, it's a symbol of domination. We must ask ourselves, what's so wrong with a world where countries can trade without having to rely on a currency that's controlled by Washington? And this is where I stand as a South African. I believe we need leaders who are willing to think critically about our place in the world, and not just as a footprint in Western economic policy, but as an independent, self-sustaining economy. And BRICS, right, may not have the immediate power to replace the US dollar, yes, but that doesn't mean we should abandon the fight for alternatives. We owe it to ourselves, I believe, and the future generations to create an economy that serves us and not just the interests of foreign powers. Now, Helen Zille may speak for a section of South African society, but as a Black South African, I can't help but feel her stance represents a failure to understand the broader picture. BRICS is about more than just trade. It's about reclaiming economic agency, and if that threatens the status quo, then perhaps it's a threat worth embracing. What do you think? Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section. We really want to hear from you. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till we meet again, it is goodbye for now.